Would members please start coming into the main sanctuary for our congregational meeting? We're going to be beginning our congregational meeting in a few minutes. Please finish your coffee. Come on into the sanctuary. All right, we're going to begin the congregational meeting. Gotta have a quorum here. Hey, Ray. Sue Trotter. Yeah, there. She's right there. Hi. Well, we need to establish a quorum, which is like that. I'm going to call us to order. Hopefully everyone is coming here. Sunny, are you? Oh, there. There's a light coming from over there. It must be Sunny.
As we light the chalice this morning, I have some words from James Luther Adams, who was arguably the most influential theologian among American Unitarian Universalists in the 20th century. And he apparently spent a lot of his lifetime thinking about the difference between democracy and totalitarianism. And he came to believe that voluntary associations, free churches are one of those voluntary associations, were indispensable to any democratic regime. And so I thought it would be fitting to read some of his words from a speech he gave in 1962 on the indispensable discipline of social responsibility as we start a congregational meeting. The voluntary association is, at its best, offering an institutional framework within which the give and take of discussion may be promoted, an institutional framework within which a given consensus may be brought under criticism and be subjected to change. It offers a means for bringing a variety of perspectives into interplay. It offers the means of breaking through old social structures in order to meet new needs. It is a means of dispersing power, in the sense that power is the capacity to participate in making social decisions. It is the training ground of the skills that are required for stable social existence in a democracy. In short, the voluntary association is a means for the institutionalizing of gradual revolution.
Thanks, Sunny. And I'd like to invite up Alyssa Chapin to read our full congregational covenant.
We covenant together to create and nurture a culture of respect and kindness, and to engage in the spiritual and everyday practice of loving more generously. While the following words express our intentions in writing, our true covenant lives and breathes in our actions. To this end, we will strive to be open to new ideas, experiences, and change, to create space for all opinions, and to warmly welcome newcomers into our community. Value differences by welcoming diversity in all its forms, celebrating the unique qualities and gifts of every individual, and by honoring the diversity of our spiritual paths. Listen deeply and honor others with our full attention, seeking to understand and assuming good intentions. Use kind language, speaking with care and consideration, being gentle with one another, and remembering there is power in silence and reflection. Speak our truths by sharing personal stories that build trust and community, by speaking our truths with courage and encouraging others to do the same, especially in difficult times. Work with conflict, addressing differences with honesty and compassion, requesting support when needed, making and receiving authentic apologies, being willing to forgive. Seek humor and joy, remembering that these qualities can enrich all that we do, and by holding things lightly when we are able.
Thank you, Alyssa. And I wanted to mention Alyssa is one of our board members. So we need to establish a quorum, and I also can let you know that according to our last count, we have 292 members. So that's pretty exciting. And so a quorum is about 10%, and so we need a count of at least 30 or so people. So Kyle, you want to do a quick count to make sure we have at least 30 people here? I'm pretty sure we do. Yeah, Dick? Oh. It's okay. She's just counting. Yeah. I'm sorry.
We need to make sure that those counted
Okay, would all members, official members, raise your hand? Thank you. Yeah. $65? And online, Sue, do you know how many people are online that, can you tell? Yeah, yeah. But we definitely have a quorum. So the first order of business, I wanted to let you know that in the back, in case you didn't see it, there is the agenda and also the minutes and attachments from our last congregational meeting. And I'd like, if someone, I'm going to make, would someone like to make a motion to approve the last congregational meeting minutes? Kathy Jackson just so moved. Do I have a second? Yeah, I have a second right here. John Deming. And any questions or conversation about the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please raise your hand. Great. Okay, those opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. Any on online? How are we doing? So did you have any abstentions online or disapprovals?
No, but we had 2 after the forum.
Okay, great.
Oh, wait, yes, I want hand raised for this, yes, sir.
Okay, so the minutes from June 4th, 2023 are approved. Thank you. So I'd like to call up Reverend Kendrick to make a couple of statements from our newly...
I'm not used to making public addresses. I will be very short and sweet. You get a lot of me. So thank you for inviting me to even be a part of this meeting. Where were you all at your last meeting? At a very, very different place. I think it's fair to say that a lot of fortuitous things have happened, both for me and for Sonny and for you all. I'm enjoying being here. I think you all are a delightful congregation. I was told just after the service, we had 196 today. I haven't talked to that many people in a long time. So you bring vitality and I sense real devotion to your congregation. That means a lot to me. I have devoted more than 45 years to being a Unitarian Universalist minister. And I've seen great diversity in how people operate, how congregations work, the ups and downs. It's fair to say that across the country, many UU congregations are suffering. And that's not too strong a word. This congregation has a spirit that very few have. And I'm frankly delighted to be able to hitch a ride on it. I mean, to get to plug in to a staff like this, and you have a great staff, great music. Jamie, who works 9 days a week. It's 9, isn't it? 9? Yeah. Although I do want to make a comment, she's only supposed to be working 5. Jesse's energy and enthusiasm is just fantastic. But you all know this. You all know it. I'm bringing coals to Newcastle here. And to be able to go from David Jones to Bobby Pace in terms of your leadership means you're drawing on deep well springs of experience and empathy for the future of this congregation. So great wisdom, again, that I get to plug into. It's fair to say that one of the significant changes here is that, and I'm really going to push this, I don't push much around here. The old joke is, why does the minister get up in the middle of the night to hear the train go by? And his congregation wants to know why he's always up at 2 in the morning to hear the lonesome whistle. He says, I just want to see something I don't have to push. But one thing I am going to push is when you're so close to Yale Divinity School, this needs to be one of the premier teaching congregations in the denomination. And to have Sonny here is a riotously great way to really get that kicked off. And people have said to me, well, we've had interns here. And I say, well, what were their names? And they go, I don't remember. We're going to remember Sonny. She works really hard. And I would suggest that she's learning a lot. So I think that it's a very fortuitous relationship that we're building here. Now, I'm here as a contract minister. I was deliberately not wanting to be an interim minister. I did not want to go through the UUA training to sort of go into congregations and fix them. I wasn't really interested in that. I envisioned a different kind of retirement. But I called the folks at the UUA and I said, you know, is there anyone going on sabbatical? Can I be helpful to someone out there? And they said, we would really like you to talk to 2 Connecticut congregations. And 6 days later, David called me on the phone and said, we'd like you to come here. And I ruminated on it for all of 4 hours, and here I am. I'm enjoying it. I hope that's clear to you in terms of the enthusiasm that I want to bring to it. I'm not here to fix you. I think the operative metaphor, which I think all the leaders of the congregation are on board with, is I'm here to provide a breathing space. There will come a time when you decide, okay, it is time for us to form a search committee. It's time for us to decide how we wish to go forward with ministry. But in the short term, and in the near term, and in terms of me being 42 minutes away in Farmington, Connecticut, I'm delighted to be able to work with you, to enjoy you. I'm really enjoying the camaraderie and the deep friendship and the way that you all take care of each other. I've actually never seen anything quite like it. It's delightful, and I'm learning a lot. I think that there are things that I can also teach you, but I'm not here to change the place. I'm really here to help you do the things you want to do, perhaps in a more efficient way, perhaps in a more direct way. Because let's face it, the next year, I was going to use the image of a roller coaster ride. It's not. It's a shit show. I have used the image with lay leaders that the barbarians are at the door. I think the casual, easy liberalism is not going to do it in the next year. This is an important pulpit. And I am delighted that I can have the opportunity to speak from it, because things need to be said about the care and nurturance of the very existence of democracy and of the Unitarian Universalist values that we share with so many other faith traditions. They don't belong exclusively to us, but love, freedom, and dignity, human dignity, we have a lot of work to do. And it is all under peril and simple democracy in the bargain. So I am thrilled to have the opportunity to work with you to hold up these traditions that really were so important to the founders of this congregation more than 70 years ago. In the course of UUA, you're just whippersnappers, but still, let's make true for a new generation what you all have worked so hard to establish and to build on. We have to bring in younger people. We have to bring in more families. Jesse's working his tail off to make all these things happen. And I'm going to work really hard as well so that this congregation grows as it should grow, because the values that you've upheld for so long are precisely the ones that we desperately need now. So that's all I want to say. I'm really happy to be here. There's a lot of work to be done, but there's a great staff and really terrific lay leadership at every corner and dimension of this place. And I get to plug into it, and I can add my energy, and I can add my ideas. But most of all, I'm simply taking a ride on your devotion to each other. This is a very close-knit congregation. May it be so even as it grows. So thank you, Bobby. I'm done. Not a note in sight. How about that? All right.
So, the first thing that I would like to say as your president is that I'm particularly honored to be serving as your president at this important time in the evolution and the journey of USNH towards a thriving future. Thank you for your support. In the past few months, we have welcomed and gotten to know our new contract minister, Stephen, and our ministerial intern, Sonny. We have celebrated and honored Reverend Kathleen McTeague and Linda Pollock with emerita status for their long service and commitment to USNH. We have supported and wrapped our care around Bo Bogush and her family in their fight for their values and our values, and Bo's participation in the protest against the Cop City development in Atlanta, which had led to Bo's and others' arrests. Your board is exploring ways to enhance and grow USNH, particularly, as Stephen said, attracting younger people and families. We want to become a congregation that offers worship, programming, and an environment that resonates for them. We are leaning into a willingness to experiment with new options for worshipful gatherings, with both more variety in our Sunday services and additional offerings at other times. This year, the board will also be delving into the UUA Article 2 proposal by providing resources and hosting discussions so that we can give guidance and direction to our 2024 GA delegates as the vote will be taken this June. We also know how much we have been able to accomplish by having the finances to bring on a new minister and a new intern. We need to sustain the ongoing generosity demonstrated this past year in partnership with our stewardship team and continue to develop exciting fundraising events. One fundraiser coming up, we hope, for which we have extensive documentation, is a collection of gold and sterling silver that people no longer have use for it. If anyone would like more information about leading or co-leading this project, please contact the management team. And if the management team members would raise their hands, those of you that are here, David Stagg, Mark Bauer, and Becky Friedkin is away. There is so much loneliness, conflict, and hate around us in the country. We must thrive as a sanctuary and inspiration for all of us and all who long for a loving community that lives its values. I encourage you all to think about the future of USNH, whether you are new to us or have been here for years. How can we make sure an inspiring and meaningful future is made manifest here at USNH? Join us in these endeavors. Your community needs you, and your board wants to hear from you. So I would like to call up Tom Ward, our treasurer, for a report on our finances. Tom?
As I reread the opening statement of my report, which I'll share with you in a moment, I feel somewhat like the president at the beginning of the State of the Union address, where he says, "I'm pleased to report." So I will begin by saying I'm pleased to report to you today that the financial health of USNH is sound. Although we experienced some unexpected events in our previous fiscal year, which ended this past July 31st, we ended the year with a budget surplus of just under $19,000. This was due in no small measure to the skill and dedication of the USNH lay leadership in the management of our ministerial transition, as well as the steadfast financial support from the congregation as a whole. Now past a third of the way into the 2023-24 fiscal year, we are benefiting, as Bobby noted, from a very successful stewardship campaign this past spring that provided a projected increase in pledge income of $37,000 over the previous year. Our current budget totals $639,000 and is providing much deserved pay increases for our staff, as well as the services of our intern, Sunny Joy McMillan, from the Yale Divinity School. Additionally, we are able to maintain our level of support to the UUA, and at the same time, increase our projected contribution to our capital fund, and Shirley will be talking about the capital fund shortly. All told, our income and non-capital expenses at the 1/3 point of the fiscal year are in balance as we get close to the middle of the year, which will occur at the end of this calendar year. Our endowment fund currently stands at about $1.2 million. As always, we are grateful for the generosity of our members and friends that allows USNH to continue serving as a beacon of reason and responsibility in the greater New Haven area.
I'd like to call Shirley Dion up to give us a report on the capital budget. Thanks, Shirley.
Thanks, Bobby. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about money we've spent since the recent fiscal year, and also a peek into the future about some of the things that will be on our calendar. As of June 30th, we had a starting balance for July 1st of $3,166. There were transferred funds from the operating budget of $19,100 to give us operating capital expenses of capital funds of $22,266. Since then, and you probably noticed some of these things, we've had the painting of the poles on the driveway, which cost $1,800, and that was done in May. We've repaired the cracks in the parking lot that's closest to Hartford Turnpike, and that was done in October, excuse me. and that costs $5,850. The sanctuary and the parts of the building that's not the drive-it, we had them power washed in July, and that was $1,200. Landscaping, we hadn't spent anything much until we had to remove a tree that was diseased and dead and might fall on our neighbor down on Hartford Turnpike. So, and that cost $2,000, $2,010 exactly. And the coating of the sanctuary roof, so to extend the life of the roof, that happened in June, and that was $5,100. And snow removal contract, I can talk to you about that because that falls under Building and Grounds and Capital. That is going to be a per incident contract this year. In the past, we've done a flat rate of $10,000, so we're praying for a little snow. And so our total project cost that we've spent is $15,960 to date. The next thing I want to talk about is, and now you may remember if you were here in May when I talked about the roofs that we have. We have 7 roofs on our building, and they're labeled from a consultant report that we had and from contractors who have since used this report to give us some pricing. And they're labeled A through G, and I'm just going to tell you about, there's 5 that still need some work. There are 2 where work has been completed for the near future. That's roof F is the lobby, and that was replaced, I think, in 2016. And roof G, the sanctuary, as I mentioned, so those are good. The other 5 are still to be worked on. Roof A is a small section over the kitchen area, which is scheduled to be done in fiscal year 24-25, and that's $14,000. After that, the social hall roof, which is scheduled at this point for 25 to 27, and that's $49,000 has been the magnitude of that estimate. Roof D, the Children's Chapel, that's also 25 through 27, $26,000. And the most expensive one is the roof, what is called B and C, which is the wing over the wing of our building, which is also over the RE area and so forth, and where all the meeting rooms are. Those 2 roofs are actually scheduled hopefully for 26, 27. However, we've had 2 different roof inspectors and warned that if the insulation under that roof should become wet, the cost of replacing would be much higher. So we do have to make sure that we're inspecting it and that it's not leaking and getting wet in any way. The cost of those 2 is $88,337. So we will, there is, one of the contractors said he will inspect every year, and if in fact that needs to get moved up, that would be something we will have to seriously consider. And there are two other things. The sanctuary lighting has not been upgrading. We have had an energy audit completed that was done on October 12th for the sanctuary lighting and has been submitted to UI for approval for incentive, which we qualify for 55% incentive. We will do the recommended improvements, assuming it is offset by the kilowatt hour cost savings. So we don't have that final report yet. And for solar, this is the last item, we have determined that a roof-mounted solar is not a suitable service given all the roofing work that needs to get done. But we do have one proposal for a ground-mounted array, which would be above where the playground is for the daycare, and that looks fairly viable. And just this week, there was another contractor that spoke with some folks here that is going to give us another proposal. So that is what I have to update you on at this point. Any questions specifically? I have a drone picture of all the roofs if you'd like to see it. Yes. That I don't really remember the one that we first got, and then we don't have this current one. But there's lots of incentives, and there's lots of plans from how you finance it, so I can't answer that at this point.
Oh, there it is. Can you say the question again, just so?
I asked how much the solar installation would cost.
Yeah, and we really don't know yet.
When you say the lighting is going to be reassessed or updated, what does that mean?
These downlights, if you will, they would be replaced with LEDs, which would be a great cost saving to us.
Do you have any idea if they would be lighter or brighter?
I don't, but I hope they're brighter. I agree with you about that. There's one in the back.
Sarah Foreman, do any of the estimates for solar include a solar battery so that we could put somewhere the electricity that we create during the day that's extra
I don't believe
and put it in the battery for later?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Getting my exercise today.
Thank you, Bobby. This may be a bigger question, but some of us have been pondering the possibility of taking all of these broken roofs off, putting one good roof on, and putting solar on the roof, because we have a climate crisis, and we're worried about our future. So I don't know if it's a bigger question, but it's something that we've been wanting to raise.
It's a reasonable question. I know that we have talked about roofs long before I became involved with the building and grounds team.
35 years.
Yeah, and it's the multitude of the roofs, and not only that there are so many, that there are different levels. Some do not need replacing. It doesn't seem that it's something that we could address at this point.
Hi, I'm a brand new member, so I shouldn't be talking at all. But since you're talking about solar,
Not true.
I don't know if you've looked into other similar facilities and their uses of solar, but I have had a tour of JCC and their use of solar. They've saved thousands and thousands of dollars with the solar installation over their parking lot, as well as some on their roof. And if you haven't talked to them, they would be inspirational and also informative about some of the pros and cons.
Thank you.
Great.
Bobby?
Jane Platt. This is more of a comment than a question. I'm hoping when we replace lights that they stay warm like this. I like warm lights in here.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. I do not know how to do this. Anyway. So I'd like to call up Mark Bauer from our management team to talk to us a little bit about security and safety here at USNH. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Bobby. Can you hear me? So the management team was asked by Bobby to review and update our current safety and security procedures. The need for this review is evident, to echo Reverend Stevens' comments, given the rise in church-directed violence in recent years, In addition, the need for attention to safety and security will increase the more we publicly live our Unitarian Universalist values in a culture which is becoming increasingly polarized and intolerant. So the scope of our task was to review our capability to prevent and respond to culturally or politically motivated threats of violence to our USNH community. To do this...
Mark, can you speak just a little slower?
A little slower? Thanks. So the scope of our task was to review our capability to prevent and respond to culturally or politically motivated threats of violence to our USNH community. To do this, we convened a time-limited security work group. This work group included USNH staff plus representatives from groups that we considered first line in terms of contact with potentially disruptive persons. These first line groups included the Connections team, the Sunday morning team, ushers, and worship associates. The work group also included representatives of the Buildings and Grounds Committee and the Finance Committee. I represented the management team and chaired the work group, which met in October and November of this year. The work group made recommendations in three broad areas. First, our safety and security procedures. Second, education and training needs for our congregation. And third, the safety and security of our buildings and grounds. The first area is safety and security procedures. These procedures have been contained in the Standard Operating Procedures document, which was originally written and last updated in 2020. The document provides sensible and specific directions for responding to human threats and natural disasters. However, it has not been widely disseminated to the congregation. We updated the document and expanded the procedures to cover more potential threat scenarios. The revised document is now available from the USNH office and will be disseminated via email or snail mail to all USNH members. The second area is the educational needs of our congregation. We recognize the need for education around security issues for the entire congregation. Accordingly, we have arranged an all-congregational educational session on safety and security awareness. This will be provided by Mr. Stephen Jacober, Executive Director of our neighbor congregation, Mishkan, Israel. Mr. Jacober is a safety and security expert who has given many talks on this subject. Unfortunately, as many of us know, he has also had to deal with recent direct threats to his congregation. Mr. Jacober's talk will take place on Sunday, January 21st at noon here in the sanctuary. In addition, we recognize the need for de-escalation skills for all members of the first-line groups mentioned above. These include USNH staff, the Connections team, the Sunday morning team, ushers, and worship associates. This training will take place early in the new year. The third area is buildings and ground safety. We reviewed our bricks and mortar facilities in light of a wealth of guidance from government and private groups that is available online. We found a few opportunities for improvement. For example, we need to be certain that the glass in our lobby doors and windows is shatterproof. Also, we need to make sure that we have an emergency exit path from the sanctuary and social hall, which is passable for wheelchairs and walkers in all weather conditions. In addition, we also plan a walkthrough with local law enforcement officials to familiarize them with our facilities and to get their feedback and suggestions. So, stay tuned for Mr. Jacober's congregation-wide educational session on January 21st. And look for our revised safety and security procedures coming to a mailbox in the near future. Also, I'm happy to provide the work group minutes and the implementation task list to anyone interested. Thank you. Questions, comments? Someone in the back?
I recently, sometime this fall, I watched a webinar given by the UUA. I think it was the Side with Love people. It's specifically on congregational security, and it was very good. And of course, now I don't remember much of what they said, but it was very good, and it is available.
I have a curated list of webinars and print information from the web. I can circulate that to anyone who's interested. And that is a very good series.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm Jane Copes. I'd like to especially ask that you make a contact with Mishkan Israel folk. They had 2 bomb threats the day of the three bomb threats. the day of October 7th and the next day. That's one thing that I think is really important. And also, I'm a little bit concerned about organizations that rent our space and either have meetings here or performances. I don't know if there's any particular kind of security issues that might be involved with them, and whether those organizations need to share in the cost and concerns.
Good thoughts, thank you.
We have contacted, Jesse and I have contacted Michigan Israel after the bomb threats to let them know of our support. And Stephen Jacober, who is their new executive director, is the gentleman that's going to be doing the training here. And he's very experienced and has worked with the Anti-Defamation League.
Bobby, can I say something? Sure. So Jane, also to your specific points, yes, we've been working very closely with Mishkan Israel, and then also the policy that's going to be disseminated does deal with the difference between Monday through Saturday and Sunday. They're sort of dealt with together, including rentals. There isn't as much of an enforceable policy for the renters because we don't have the USNH personnel that are going to be there to oversee it. So everything that's told to our renters, I mean, Jamie goes over, when making contracts with renters, she goes over the safety issues and makes strong suggestions to them about things like whether the front doors should be closed or locked, all those kinds of details. They are made aware of what our policies are, but then again, it ends up being up to them how closely they follow our policy. The one other thing I wanted to clarify is that this policy was also developed alongside the daycare, the Over the Rainbow daycare, and so they are aware of our policy, and we are aware of what they do for building evacuations, lockdowns, etc.
I also want you to know that for, I'd say 95% of rentals, we have either Oscar present or I am present for the rentals. Any other questions?
There's one in the back, behind you.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, Amy Glick. This doesn't come a moment too soon. Thank you. And I don't know if we've received any threats. Do we have a policy of, if we receive a threat, to make it immediately known to our public, and what we're to do about it? I'm very frightened.
We walk a line between being frightened and being secure. What we need to do is to be sure that we are prepared for whatever comes down the pike. There's a low probability, but potentially higher, even higher lethality possibilities.
That's right next door.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. Lurleen, would you like to come up and give us a report on social justice?
Oh, stop. So, excuse me, I'm learning DeVos, and my pronouns are she and her. So while I was creating the report on social justice, I realized that working for justice within a congregation can be transformative for the individual, for the congregation, and for the community. The Social Justice Ministry, SJM, as we call it, at USNH is uniquely positioned to address congregants' spiritual and moral needs within themselves, to address their relationships with one another, and to address their commitment to justice in the larger community. Diverse offerings invite congregants to engage in a variety of activities at whatever level best fits their life situation. Through SJM, congregants work with one another to bend the arc of the universe toward justice. Working primarily in partnership with community organizations and the UUA Side with Love initiatives, our task forces address systemic racism, voting rights, racial and economic disparities, food insecurity, preventing gun violence, the climate crisis and environmental justice concerns, and LGBTIQ issues. Further, the Social Justice Ministry partners with 37 other faith communities through Connect to advocate for systemic social change. I'd like to share with you some of the highlights of the work we've been doing and some of our thoughts about what we're going to be doing forward within the task forces. Electoral justice, democracy. Last year, through your work, we became a Good Trouble congregation, one of 24 UU congregations in the country to do so. And recently, we supported voting rights in Virginia 2023 state election by postcarding 3,000 voters of color. Currently, we're exploring working with other Connecticut Unitarian Universalist congregations on advocacy and action for 2024 and beyond. Anti-racism. In January, the anti-racism group will be leading discussions of the book, The Other Side of Prospect, in preparation for a February 25th discussion with the author of the book. Waverly USNH Partnership, tutoring and providing recreational activities for Waverly children and their families. Coming soon, there will be requests for donations for Christmas gifts for the children and for their annual Christmas party. Food insecurity. We've been connecting congregants with Haven's Harvest, thank you, Gail, to help deliver excess food from commercial businesses to nonprofits. We're continuing to maintain a food bank at USNH, Margaret, and to contribute to the Keith Center Food Bank. Next week, we're going to have the annual reverse Advent calendars available, and that helps us increase our contributions to the food banks, and it's a lot of fun to have it at home and put the stickers on your calendar. We're also exploring providing meals for Amistad Catholic Workers House, preventing gun violence, working in partnership with Don't Stand Idly By, and Connecticut Against Gun Violence. They're seeking to sensible gun laws and the adoption of smart gun technology. They're also working with the Norwalk group, whose name I can't remember, but they said it this morning. So if you're interested in calling legislators, let's connect with them to do so. The Green Sanctuary and Environmental Task Force is focusing on issues of climate change with community partners. They're addressing waste reduction and overproduction through regifting and through tag sales. The LGBTIQ group is working with the New Haven Pride Center and connecting to the Rainbow Elders. The Kids Service Team continues providing opportunities for our children to partner with adult task forces or on issues related to the adult task forces by doing social action projects. Yesterday, we helped fill 500 of 1,400 Thanksgiving baskets for Christian Community Action. And the reverse Advent calendar is actually one of our initiatives in partnership with the food bank. Finally, Connect. By partnering with these 37 diverse faith communities, we advocate for change based on grassroots organizing within our congregations. Save the date. There's a statewide assembly on January 21st at 3 o'clock. We're not yet sure what the location will be, but it'll be an important opportunity for us to get together with folks from all of those other congregations. The SJC, that's the council which leads the ministry, is available to support folks wishing to focus on particular other issues, So if you have another issue and a group of folks that want to work on it, let us know. You can email us at socialjustice@usnh.org. Thank you.
Thanks, Lurleen, and thank you all the task forces working hard on all these issues. I have a closing reading. Oh, I'm sorry. Sure.
So did I understand that the date that you're talking about, Lurleen, is the same day as we're having the safety talk? And if so, and so is that here or by Zoom? I'm sorry.
Any other questions on social justice? I'm sorry. Sure. I will let you answer.
So the question was, is this going to be the same day as the security? Yes, it is. That's at noon. And the Connect meeting is at 3. The location is still to be decided, I think. I know it hasn't been announced.
Any other social justice questions? So our closing reading, which is somewhere here, yeah, is called In Honor by Amanda Schuber. In honor of the risk takers, those that hold the vision with clarity and charge forward with optimism, even in the face of others' doubts. You are our lamplighters and our guides. May we never forget the courage it takes to lead the way forward. In honor of the cautious skeptics, those that gather the information needed to navigate the tumultuous waters of change, you are the map makers and the preparer of the stores. May we appreciate your attention to the details that keep us on course. In honor of the doubters, those that may fear the changing tides of a turbulent world, you are our anchors and remind us of where we have been and where we are as a community now. May we relish your commitment to our history and your passion for who we have become. In honor of the dreamers, those that imagine what we can be to and in this world, you are the wind that blows the sails of change, pushing us ever forward. May we revel always in your whimsy and hope that dares us to never stop becoming. May the work we do together strengthen our community and our world. May we heed the call to always hold the vision of a free church ever in our sight and to work towards justice. Together, we wield a powerful spirit that is strengthened by the gifts of all. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you, John. And second, Alyssa, second. Any questions about whether we want to adjourn? All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? Oh, there was one opposed up there. No? No. You can stay if you'd like. Anyway, thank you all, and have a wonderful afternoon.